The most important thing you and anyone needs to do right now when the market's moving sideways or going down is to fix your portfolio, is to come up with a plan to ensure all the holes that may be seeping in your current plan are fixed. So when we decide to finally move up here, you're going to be ready to make some of this life-changing wealth. Right now, we are about to hit the banana zone, the zone that looks like J, where we just continually go up and up. This is going to come, guys, right? But your portfolio is the reason why 95, if not more % of people only break even in crypto. That is a statistic, okay? This isn't me just throwing numbers around here. So today, I'm not going to give you just like 5, 10 coins worth $5,000. Here's a nice $5,000 portfolio for you to fix, because that's like giving me a wrench and telling me to fix a car. I wouldn't know where to start or what to do. Today, I'm going to give you the coins. I'm going to tell you the secrets that go into a solid plan. And if you were to copy this portfolio, the actual blueprint, as well as the wrench, to go and make those changes. The only thing I ask in return today for all my work I put into this video is for you to drop a like down there now while you're at it, and also subscribe, guys, because that makes me happy and allows you to achieve all of your crypto goals this bull run. Let me preface first of all and say, if you're someone who has TikTok brain, if you have a very short attention span, please, I want you to do some quick breaths and just relax, because if you are someone that wants to actually take this information on board, do not skip this video. You aren't doing me any injustice. I'm still getting a view. You're still watching this video. You're doing yourself an injustice, okay? Because you're ultimately the one that's going to get to the end of the bull run and be like, oh my God, where did I go wrong? And it's going to take 2 years for you to figure out what I'm trying to tell you now, which is what goes into making a good portfolio and ultimately the steps to do so. I'm not going to ramble on about this. I've made plenty of these sort of videos. I am doing this one particularly today because I've picked out 5 altcoins that are at extremely good prices, and I think this is an absolute bargain for $5,000. Bargain in every sense of the word. So what makes a good portfolio? Well, first of all, you got to have a clear goal. I've got 6 rules before we kick things off, right? Have a clear damn goal. This is where most people go insanely wrong. I've shown this example a few times, right? But let's say, your goal was roughly $1 million, but you never actually wrote out a plan for it, right? $1 million, right, comes along, the market goes up, boom, you hit your target. Sweet. But you think to yourself, that was pretty easy. That happened pretty quickly. Let's keep it going. So you do so, right? And so you continuously ride this up, and then all of a sudden, bang, your portfolio's at 1.25 mil. And you're like, oh my God, yes, let's keep riding this thing up. And so you do, right? And then you almost get here. This happened to me in the last cycle, aimed for this goal, maybe even a bit more I would have went for, and then it just comes crashing down. It's illiquid all here, so you don't end up selling out until way, way down, way underneath your original goal, which ultimately means that you end up holding for the next cycle and you question the meaning of life, of being there. Step number 2 is be risk adverse. There's going to be more bull runs. There's going to be more cycles, not just crypto. There's going to be other ways to make money in real life. You might be an entrepreneur. You might be someone that wants to achieve a goal of yours. Maybe the first step there, setting goals, part of the goals and part of the money value you need to achieve your actual, figures is some money to, go out and do a business venture. But there's going to be more ways to make money. That's what we can leverage here. So all I'm trying to say is, using something like my bull run cheat sheet, right? This is available for the private community in every single level, 1, 2, and 3. Of course, links are down below. You have different ways to, adhere to risk levels, okay? First of all is multiples. The more multiples you go down, okay, the more, even in a coin like a micro cap that can 50x or 100x, you're still taking on a lot of risk. Right? If you're looking for a coin like Celestia, for example, that might 20x from here, okay? Well, you're still looking at a 40% risk. Then you have to take into consideration risk depending on, where the project is in the actual market cap rankings, right? This is multiple risk. This is size of the coin risk. Micro caps obviously have a very high risk of going to zero. So if you're someone that can't afford to risk a single penny, you don't want to be in that category. So the coins I've picked today actually adhere to the middle ground here. Yellow is where most people go, 100 million to 1 billion. I've got a couple coins just over $1 billion. But again, we're looking to take basically $5,000 and make $100,000 or more. All right, these coins have that capability. But as you'll see here in a second, we want to actually take one thing into consideration here. I'll mention that momentarily. Now, number 3, you might have guessed it. It's track everything. Track your entries, your cost basis, your multiples, your exit levels, right? Your weighted average. It's only when you take this thing seriously where you actually see results. I see so many people in crypto, like that's why I don't like giving help to random friends or people that come up to me and ask me in the gym, hey, Kyron, like, I've got this, and this, can I buy these coins? I say no, because I can give you the coins, but you're going to walk away and not know when to sell them. You're going to see all these amazing gains. And then when it comes time to sell, you're going to say no and go back to that whole, philosophy about step one where you don't have any goals and you end up missing them, right? I do speak to, a few amount of people around me that actually are smart enough to say, hey, I want to get in, but I don't know enough about it and I don't want to buy coins and then, not know what to do with them, right? They're smart enough to know this, but so do we. You have to track everything and you have to keep on top of it all. If you even slip up a little bit here, it can literally be the difference between you selling a coin and getting your goals and holding for the next bull run. Number 4 here, and this is a big one, right? A massive one. People seem to still not understand following me for a very long time, okay? Which is why you really want to be in the private community, because you have more access to me, where I can give you more information on this, right? And that's narrative diversification. Point simply, again, the narrative ranking sheet here in the bull run cheat sheet Excel spreadsheet has all of this already, my personal rankings and explanations to each of these narratives and what they will kind of perform like in this cycle. Now, when you're looking for coins, and you'll see in my portfolio here in a second, you don't want to pick all AI coins. I mean, that should be okay because AI is a pretty good narrative. But, another example, you don't want to pick all like IoT coins. You want to pick all payment coins. You want to be spread nice and wide in the best performing narratives as possible so that you can have the most possible gains, even if your altcoin is somewhat crappy. I don't expect the average crypto investor to go out there and pick a god-awesome coin. You're likely going to be picking a coin that's pretty subpar because you watched a couple of random YouTube videos and thought, hey, this is pretty good. Everyone's not talking bad about it. It must be good, right? So in this case, we need to make sure we're being diverse amongst the best narratives. And so this includes the likes of interoperability, gaming, AI, deep in modularity, even in level 9, right? So Oracle, layer 0, tokenization. You want to have an altcoin hitting these, ideally hitting all of these, okay? And so the reason this is important is because the way the crypto market looks, if this whole yellow circle here, including these red and green circles, this whole thing here was the crypto market, right? A lot of these narratives, a lot of these coins will fall into the average performers. You will have a select amount of narratives, and therefore the coins in these narratives or niches, right, performing really well. Like I said, AI, modularity, meme, deepen, layer 2, so on. Then you'll also have a subsection as well, just as probably small as the best performers, as the really horrible performers. Again, just remember that you can pick a horrible performing narrative like the ones down here, and you can still find winners, right? But it's a lot harder to, I don't expect anyone to get that as a, sort of avid or basic crypto, researcher. And number 5 is have a clear exit plan. I really get so worked up with this one because this is the thing that's most often overlooked by most people in crypto, okay, is not knowing when to sell, not having all this planned out ahead of time, ultimately because we feel like we're too busy to bother doing it, or we can do it another day. No, you set the plan this weekend to do it, and you make sure it's all done. I'll show you an example here in a second, so it's all done for you. But basically, you need to consider this because this factors in a very, very important term I don't hear anyone else talk about, which is called weighted average. Now, the portfolio I've created here for you guys to download and use yourselves tracks all of this sort of stuff, okay? Again, it's obviously in the private community. And in this, we have complete control over our entire exit plan, right? You know what you're pretty much getting in each coin, right? Your average buy and the amount, how much you've invested there for, and then you got your sell prices. But the benefit of this, of course, is that you can actually come in here and for each of these coins, actually set up your own individual sell levels, which will spit out exact amounts and your target price and your actual weighted average for each coin. This will save you hundreds of hours. That's why I actually created it. I created it for myself and then, made it nice and simple for everyone else to kind of copy and use. And this, again, is the biggest killer because kind of like the goal setting, people don't actually have clear exit levels, don't punch it into an exchange. And therefore what happens is when those hit, possibly overnight, and then come sparking back down again, they've missed their one and only chance and they decide to hold because they feel like maybe there might be another chance to come soon, which ultimately may never happen. Before we go any deeper into the video, I've got some news from this video's sponsor, Cryptonomy. And before we continue, I must say how thankful we are to Cryptonomy for sponsoring our channel because without them, we just couldn't bring you guys daily high quality crypto content. So please make sure you tune in to see what they have to say. For starters, Cryptonomy Cryptonomy's dropped an important update for any of our viewers who may not be naturally English speaking. The website can now be translated into 3 additional languages: Spanish, Portuguese, and Turkish. And as I mentioned a few days ago, they've got some super huge updates still to come, like their collaboration with one of crypto's biggest teams and a full suite market service for those of you who want to stay on top of your crypto game but lack the time. But today I wanted to shed some light on the gains recently received in one of the investments with Cryptonomy, that being the launch pool. The launch pool is where you're able to put funds to have access to Cryptonomy's VC, where they invest in new and highly promising altcoins in all types of narratives, and depending also on how much you invest, you're able to make up to and over a 20x return. And as you can see here, 2 of the positions that were previously opened in bronze tier have matured and are now complete. By opening the details bar, we can see how much XRP I have invested at the time and how much I make back after the split with Cryptonomy. It's important to note that the more you invest here, the larger the share you claim of the rewards. If you are someone who has some extra cash on the sidelines, this may be an interesting idea to consider, as Platinum tier has an extremely high upside, especially since the market will soon heat up again, but of course that's not financial advice. So with the extra gains I've made, let's open a new contract, but this time using gold to hopefully get up to a 20x return with the new market momentum. And that'll do it for today, guys. I'll keep you updated on how the results go over time, so make sure you stay tuned for when that time comes, and let's get back to the video. Lastly is having a DCA plan, another one that people often overlook, and this can be a very bad one if they aren't, noticing a change in their portfolio. What do I mean by that? Well, if you decide to dollar cost average, which means buy coins at different periods, buy on the way down, maybe buy some more on the way up, whatever. What happens here is, again, just like we have a weighted average for selling, like the average sell price, this creates an average buy price, or again, the average dollar cost average price, whatever. And so in this case, it can be very bad, because if you're aiming to have, let's say you must be buying, this is a Hedera H bar here, if you could only buy Hedera H bar at the current price of, let's say, 10 cents, all right, to achieve your goal of, let's just say, a 13.5x, which is the very, very highest price over here, which is the top of the green zone. I'll talk more about what these colors are momentarily. Well, then you can't afford to buy any higher than this, because if you start buying higher and higher and higher and higher, and your average buy price creeps up from 10 cents, you're going to reduce the amount of multiples you're making, which means rather than you actually getting your goal of a 13.5x here, you might make this maybe a 10x. And therefore, what you're waiting for here is you're waiting for the dollar amount in your, Coinbase, whatever portfolio to be whatever this would have been, and yet you're getting this. And what happens? Well, it might not hit any higher and it might go lower. Maybe you got it right and you're screwed. Okay, so it's very important you manage and track your dollar cost average plan. Now, these green, gray, and red zones, the green zone is where you need to be basically selling, right? So current price or less, obviously, up to this top marker. The gray zone basically is the sort of area for buffer, all right? It's the area you don't really want to be selling in if you can, but it's okay if you do. The red zone is the max ladder sell price, or the actual price prediction. This is 25% down from that price prediction. This is basically the highest possible level you should look to ladder sell out of, the very, very highest, okay? So I've built also another awesome calculator in my spreadsheet as well, the bull run cheat sheet, that allows you to track this, right? You pick any of your coins, let's say AL's network, for example, and what it does is actually spit out the different zones. So it's got the red zone, gray zone, and green zone, and then shows you the max green zone price from the current price and so on. So it does that all for you. You just punch levels in and then go off that yourself, okay? There's a lot to it, of course. All I'm trying to do is provide you guys as much information as possible. And like I say here, when you're buying, all right, if you go above the marker where you need to get your goal, it's very simple. You wait for the price to go down to ensure you're bringing your average buy price down more, or you just simply find a new coin and dollar cost average into a new coin. You play it like a robot. The minute that you bring your emotions in and say, oh, well, I just want to buy my coin because I like the coin. Who cares about the facts or the maths? Who cares? Oh, that's where you're setting yourself up for failure. I can't help you if you don't want to fall in line with the facts. Okay, so with all of that out the way, that should hopefully give you guys, enough of a reason to hit a like on the video, because trust me right now, you won't hear that anywhere else. And nowhere else you'll hear this on crypto YouTube, I'll tell you. I want to show you the portfolio. Now remember, what we're trying to do here is turn 5,000 into 100,000. This is USD. I mean, it's cross-transferable, whatever currency you're using, basically. Now, our goals in this case, again, this is using that spreadsheet that I created. You'll see how powerful this is in a second here. We're looking for a new car for $30,000. We want 10,000 cash, and we want 40 grand to reinvest back into crypto in the next bear market. Now, this comes out to $80,000, but what people also forget is factoring tax. So this sheet auto taxes 25% tax for you. You can also change this if you decide to use the sheet. If you know that it's going to be like maybe 45% tax, you can move that to 45% tax, and then it'll change a number for you. Based on the coins we're going to be buying here today and the levels, it's deemed us that we need a 19.6x, which is just under a 20x. I'll tell you why it's important in a second here. So the cost basis with how much money we're buying basically is $5,000. That's correct. And so we're going to come down here now, and we've got our coins: Wormhole, Mina, Goldfinch, Pith Network, and Manta Network. Now, Manta is in red because I'll give you some alternatives to Manta here in a second if you do want to use this. Of course, not financial advice. Now, for the amounts, I've just literally split them up exactly $1,000 from today's prices. Now, the reason I've picked these coins again is because today's prices are literally at these damn coins all-time lows. So I think they'll do well and truly above the levels I was, aiming to get out of, and therefore, some of these levels I'm looking to get this portfolio out of are very reasonable because they've fallen so low. So we can see here we're getting a 20x on all of these, which is great. Now, these two charts up the top here basically allow us to see portfolio cost basis diversification, so how much money we're putting in terms of cash, and how much we should end up at the end of the bull run, which of course, since we're going a nice even split each and a 20x on each, it'll be nice and even on both of these, okay? Which is a good way to also check, hey, I am buying a lot of Manta, but I'm maybe not selling much Manta at the end of the bull run, so why have I bought so much? I need to spread my risk or spread my crypto spread my investments elsewhere. That's kind of the way you can look at it. So because of this, right, we needed to achieve a $98,000 target. We're actually already getting a $149,000 target. So we're actually, again, just beating our desired target here by a little bit, which is a good thing to see. I'm also not going to opt for an initial investment level. You can do this, but the minute that you decide to do this, let's say, for example, with Wormhole, we're going to be selling at $9.10, which again is a 20x from today's price. Let's say I want to take out my initial investment, maybe about $4, for example. We can see I'm selling 11% of my portfolio. That's how many tokens I'm selling. The return, of course, it'll be just my cost basis, so $1,000. And my new estimated ROI, my return, is $17,000 versus the $19,000 I had before. When you decide to take out your initial investment, you're pretty much taking off all of the money you've put into the project that far, which is how much you've invested. But when you do that, you have to recalibrate your portfolio because that money never existed. Therefore, you have less tokens on the table to sell, which is why you'll always, if you ever decide to have an initial investment level, have to now recalibrate at this number down here, this $97,000 odd here, rather than the $100,000, because this now is theoretically your new portfolio size. So as long as this $97,000 pretty much matches up with this, which actually it kind of almost does, bar a couple $100, you can basically do this. So in effect, we really could take initial investment off the table at Wormhole, which is much safer. Then it's all profit from there, all right? So we're not going to worry about that right now for today. Let's just ignore that for now. And we're just going to go balls to the wall, pretty much selling at different levels. Again, you don't have to use a spreadsheet. You can just listen to the video. If you wanted to sort of copy this or emulate this, not financial advice, it's all here for you. Anyway, I want to show you the charts for these coins. So Wormhole, you can see literally speaks for itself. We are at all-time low levels. We had a spike from down to this level here, a wick rather, way back in April. So maybe this means something. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think we'll be here for too much longer if the market keeps going lower. So this might be a great way for us to make a quick return. Seeing as the coin actually went up to about 80 cents not long ago, which will almost be a 2x from here. Now, Mina actually hit the green zone I was hoping it would hit on a few videos ago, which is great entry level for Mina. And as long as it holds this area somewhere between here, I think we should be fine. If not, we might fall a little bit lower, but that's of course welcome considering we might want a DCA. It's probably not a good idea. We just throw $1,000 in each of these coins straight away. Next up, Goldfinch. I think there's a nice level of support right here, and we'll see what happens next. We might find something else down here a little bit lower. Nevertheless, again, dollar cost averaging into roughly a 40-40-20 plan. Invest 40% now, 40%, maybe see what happens next, and 20% later on, maybe even 50-50, more aggressive. You can decide to do that because we are at a decent level of support, but we will have to see how the next few days play out as well. Now, Manta was also chosen here, not just because it's at all-time lows, which is a fantastic opportunity in my opinion. $1.20 is literally insane. But the fact that you can also stake Manta, right? So if you stake Manta, it's pretty flexible, only a 7-day cooling off period. And in saying that as well, you'll actually get some pretty decent returns. I think roughly 30% APY here. So you should be able to, over the next 12 months, get 1/3 of this back. So you'd pretty much be able to get 333 tokens back, which is pretty fantastic if you ask me, because that'll pretty much mean you can reduce some sell levels, in which I'll show you here momentarily. And lastly, Pith, pretty much the same, not at all-time low levels, of course, but we are pretty close. We're at 35 cents. All-time lows are back down here at about 22 cents. So we're roughly speaking 10 cents off. And honestly, I don't know how easy it'll hold support if we continue going lower as a sentiment. So of course, that is there. Now, if you don't want to have Manta, I've also given some suggestions here as well. And this is to hit the AI narrative, which we haven't hit so far, which is a big one, of course, of the bull run. So we can look here for Render. Right now, Render is at sort of a support level. I think Render will actually still probably 20x. The reason I didn't include it was because this 20x could be on the high side, could actually be at that max ladder sell level area, which is that sort of top zone up here, which is like the last level you want to be selling at. And that's not what we want to do. We don't want to risk this, of course. Also, ICP as well is at a very, very good level of support right now. And I see the same thing happening. We could pretty much over 20x. And I think that the project could definitely hit $200 this cycle, maybe even more. Okay, so that definitely is there. We're at prices we haven't seen until literally December last year, which is fantastic. And the last AI deep in coin I'll mention here is Spectral, okay? At not an amazing level, but I still deem Spectral as a small cap, right? It's about a 100 or 200 mil market cap right now. So this can be a great sort of swap in the AI narrative for Manta. Now, like I said, right, let's say we dollar cost average a little bit of money in this portfolio. And we put in, let's just say, we buy an extra, or maybe you just take Manta, okay? Let's just say with Manta, you end up getting 1,000 tokens and you end up getting an extra, putting an extra $280 in, okay? So what we're going to do here is look at removing the top side risk down. This is what I love about this sheet, which is what you can visualize. We can see here that basically we are at $105,600 revenue, and our goal is a revenue of $98,000. So what we can actually do is reduce some of the sell prices here just to ensure we're meeting our goals. This is why it's important to hit our goals only and not take on more risk by doing this, right? So Wormhole, we might move Wormhole down to $9. Maybe not. Didn't really make much of a change. $8.50. Cool. Might do Mina at $12.50. Goldfinch at $50. Pith at $6.75. And we might do Manta at, let's say, $25. Maybe even a bit more, $24. And maybe even a bit lower, $23. So you can see here, what I've done is basically reduce the amount of money we're making until it's literally what we're trying to achieve here, our goals, which has reduced the top side, the sell levels, which means we're getting out much safer, which is obviously a very, very good thing. So with that being said, the last thing you kind of want to do in this case, this is so important to organize, guys, is your sell levels. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and do this for each of these coins because basically, you know what average sell price you now need to achieve these goals. And this is what you kind of have to do, guys. This is what you have to do to be able to see, when you're selling and why. Like, there's no point in you picking the coins and saying, I hope for the best. There's steps in place here that you have to follow and abide by to make the most out of it. Again, one of the rules were, if you do not treat this like an actual legitimate thing you're doing and just treat it as a little fun project, then you can't expect to make money, and you have to be okay with losing it if it's a fun project, ultimately. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Take good care.